And we're coming to you live for the Built Ford Tough Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan, simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network and wherever you are on the free Odyssey app. Good Tuesday morning. Yesterday we were talking about a report from Connor Hughes that said that the Jets were interested in Frank Reich coming in and having some sort of role offensively with the New York Jets, and I asked you, hey, is that true? And you said, I think Connor is on it. Well, Connor Hughes yesterday puts out things are progressing between the Jets and Frank Reich per sources. We'll see if the Jets can get it done. They're trying, would be a big get for Aaron Glenn's offensive staff. They don't plan on firing Tanner Engstrand, but his role with the team will change. Sources expect Frank Reich to take over as play caller. We've said it many times, but you never know who's listening. You and Frank go back a very, very long time. If people don't know that, college roommate, best friends there for a while, still keep in contact. So I ask you once again, is Connor Hughes on to something?
I'm just, if he backs out on our golf trip, I'm going to be pissed.
Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, G. Look, I like I said yesterday, and I'll say it again, that the Connor Hughes report, obviously, he had it nailed down. He was right. So, I mean, in terms of what he was saying prior to yesterday, and now what he's saying yesterday, I can't confirm that. I don't know. I haven't spoken to Frank in 2 days.
Okay.
So I can't confirm that.
He's going dark on. You know what that means?
Well, I mean, I also know he's on vacation right now, going through a litany of opportunities. I do know that.
The wife can't be happy about that. It's a vacation, and he's sitting there pouring over opportunities.
It's football, man. You know, they get used to it. It's just football. It's just craziness. It's there's always something coming their way. I'm meaning coaches. And if you're a good coach and you're a solid coach and you have the resume that Frank has, especially offensively, then you usually get a lot of opportunities. And depending on like how long your contract is when you were fired and how much money you have coming your way, there is a real lack of incentive to go back and play, or coach, because there's offset language in the new contract that you get. So let's just use round numbers so everybody understands. Let's say Carolina's paying him $10 million a year. If the Jets pay him whatever, $3 million or $2 million or $1 million to be the offensive coordinator, that goes against that language of the previous contract. So you're essentially coaching for the same amount of money, but you're now working.
Yeah, it's like you're working for free.
It's
almost
like what he did with Stanford last year. Like what he did at Stanford last year was really, our Jewish friends would say he was a mensch.
Yeah.
He picked up what Andrew Luck needed. Andrew Luck had a fire. Like, if people don't understand what happened at Stanford last year, Andrew Luck, who is now the GM of the Stanford football team, not the AD of Stanford, he's the GM of Stanford football, and he raised over $100 million for Stanford football.
It's amazing.
Now, it's easy when you're out there with all those tech titans and all those people that graduate from Stanford, and your name is Andrew Luck, and you go walking in and you raise the money. It's crazy what he did out there. And Frank said it was remarkable just watching that part of it. And they had to let go of their coach last year. I think it was around March or April. And, now all of a sudden they're stuck. And I don't necessarily know that Andrew thought that he had a head coach in waiting on the staff that was left behind. So he called up Frank and asked Frank if he would mind coming to Stanford just as an interim head coach to get through the season and to teach kids and to teach coaches and to run an organization and to organize it all. And he had to do it within 6 weeks without knowing anybody. Like the last thing he thought at this time last year was that he was going to go to Stanford and go become the interim head coach. So he goes to Stanford, becomes the interim head coach. I think they won 4 games. And the big game that they won is their huge rivalry, and that's the game against California. They played it at home at Stanford. After the game was won, I think they won 31-10 or something like that. People stormed the field. That's how big that rivalry is between those two schools out there. So that was a huge moment for him, and said it was one of his best moments as a coach, and that includes the Super Bowl against the New England Patriots where they had the Philly special.
Yeah, he was on that staff.
Right, so he's had, when he was in Indianapolis, I think he had 7 different quarterbacks. starting with Andrew Luck, then Andrew Luck steps down, then it's Jacoby Brissett, and then it's Phillip Rivers, then it's Matt Ryan, then there was Sam Ehlinger in there, there was Carson Wentz was in there, almost went to the playoffs with Carson Wentz the second time around. So the numbers, the offensive prowess that he has and calling plays and designing plays, he's amazing that way. And that's probably what the Jets really desperately need, somebody who understands, doesn't waste timeouts, everybody's buttoned up, there's constant communication. So if it does happen for the Jets, it will be a great hire for the Jets. My question to all of this is like, who the F is the quarterback?
Yeah.
Who are you running out there as a quarterback? His offense is so good, and I've seen what it looks like on paper. You better have somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge question. Just to go back for a second, obviously, if they hire him, it's great for the Jets. But I said yesterday I was confused as to why he would take the job, and WFAN Digital puts out the video of me saying, why would Frank Reich take the job? And there was several people had the same take, which we debunked yesterday, which is that, if things go sour, he could be elevated to head coach after Aaron Glenn gets fired. That's not anywhere in Frank Reich's mind. That's not what it is. So more thinking about it just from everything you've told me and talking about the Stanford thing and the type of guy that he is, the reason he would take this job is because he is a different type of person than your average guy with his resume. He went out to Stanford to help out a buddy because a buddy called him and ended up having this unbelievable experience.
And by the way, what did that buddy do when Frank was the head coach?
Quit.
We're retired, yes. I'm not going to use the word quit, but he ended up retiring after he had a great
at a very
season.
young age and shocking everybody.
Yes.
So Frank had a reason to have a bad taste in his mouth. Maybe
Frank
over
doesn't
Andrew
hold grudges. He doesn't hold grudges.
Yeah, and he knows that Andrew was a great person. That was a great thing for him at that point, or the right thing for him at that point in his career. So the same thing's happening here. Aaron Glenn and Frank Reich are friends. Aaron Glenn is
They were teammates.
Teammates and friends. They've stayed in contact and everything else. And Aaron goes, I need you. And Frank, because he's the guy that he is like, hey, I can help. I can figure this out. And as opposed to looking at all the bad things with the Jets, he's thinking, how great would it be if I could help Aaron get this thing back on track and he ends up being the head coach along with me that get the Jets back to a winning franchise. So that's what he's thinking.
Yeah, when he was, when we were talking about it, I was just thinking, okay, I could take a leave of absence. That would be good, right? I mean, it just however long it takes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to have to recuse myself, I think.
No.
Listen, when he was in there with Todd Bowles and I picked him up at one Jets drive after that interview with McCagnon and Charlie,
Casserly,
Charlie Casserly and all those guys.
Yeah.
I was like, Frank, you can't take this job. You can't. I mean, like, can't. And then, and then Woody offered it to Todd Bowles, which was fine.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, thank God.
Yeah.
So now I got to think about me now a little bit.
You'll be fine. You'll be able to deal with it.
No, because I'm going to have like all you maniacs around here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just going haywire.
Well, what if it works out?
I pray that it does.
Yeah.
And if there's anybody else that's praying that it does, it's Frank Reich too.
Well, of course. I mean, and I just, listen, you've been in situations where you've had to talk about friends of yours in the past. This is a little bit more hitting home than the others because it's the Jets and it's someone as close to you as Frank is. But, I mean, so you asked the question, who the hell's the quarterback going to be? I mean, you mentioned Carson Wentz when you were running down the names. That's one guy that Frank has a previous relationship with.
Well, he had a serious injury last year. Yeah. I don't even know if he'd be even ready. I really haven't spoken about him with any of that. My thing was just the flavor of like the temperature of what's going on around here. You know what I mean? Like I was just trying to give him a background of the temperature. And what's going on. And I did tell him, I said, I'll be honest, that I think Darren Muji has done an amazing job now setting this franchise up. But in my eyes, under these current set of circumstances, and tell me if you agree with me or not, this now becomes like a 3-year process.
Unless they end up being terrible again next year, end up getting a quarterback at the top of the draft who is someone who steps in and is one of these
That's
guys.
You still got to give that guy another year. You got to give that guy a year.
But at least you'll feel like you're on track. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
They go 3-14 next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What happens to the staff? What happens to the coaching staff?
3-14 is 3-14. It's ugly. Yeah.
Look, we have to look at this realistically. And this is me and you talking. You know?
just a couple guys talking.
Just a couple guys talking.
Yeah.
We have big microphones in front of our faces.
Couple dudes.
So that means it booms out all over the place.
That's right.
I am a very practical guy. I look at things like in a realistic sense when it comes to stuff like this. And I know it's a great honor and a great opportunity to get back into the NFL, which he also has, I believe, another team. But I think he just has an affinity for Aaron Glenn. Like a lot of people have an affinity for Aaron Glenn. You wouldn't know that just because you don't know Aaron Glenn.
Yeah, I mean that's what I just said. That's why Frank would take the job is because it's a buddy who's calling. I need you, Frank. You could help me. And by the way, if you're Tanner Engstrand, you're probably thinking, like, what the hell is going on here?
Well,
hold on. You bring me in. You give me Brady Cook for I don't know how many games because you're doing an organizational tank. Like, you gave me Justin Fields, who stinks, and now you're demoting me? I would not stay in that organization. I'd try to go somewhere else. That's a tough job to make an offense look good. And Garrett Wilson goes down with an injury.
I know. So the other aspect, part of this from Tanner's standpoint, it's like you just don't know what he had to deal with, what was going on internally, the situational football stuff that Tony Romo often talks about. Did he get it right? Did he get it wrong? Those are things that are internal. It's like in the beginning of the year when Aaron Glenn kind of screwed up a couple of timing mechanisms and situations on the sideline, and Jet fans were going haywire because of it. And I'm like, hey guys, he's learning on the job too. Everybody thinks it's easy to do all these things. And then a couple of the things that he did do blew up in his face. And then I thought he got better as the season went on a little bit, but the chances of them winning late in the season, kept dropping and dropping and dropping. Look, it is, then that's the other thing too. When you're the head coach, like when you get the job as a head coach, I always believe you should be hiring the people that you want around you. Like John Harbaugh is going to be hiring the people who he wants around him. That's a little bit different because he has 18 years of experience and a resume, and a lot of coaches have gone through Baltimore. So he can re-up with a lot of those coaches from different years of past, like he's doing with Denard Wilson. Mm-hmm. Aaron Glenn, they gave him the opportunity to hire his coaching staff. He fired a number of his coaches, got rid of a number of his coaches.
Demoting others.
And I know, and I'm not even sure, like, if you're coming in as an offensive coordinator, do the guys on the offensive staff even know your system? And you're running your system? You're not running the system that I think that the Jets have been running. I think if you're Frank, you're bringing in your own system and your own way of doing things. And you have to have coaches on your staff that understand how to teach that. Because when you listen to coaches speak, they'll tell you first and foremost that they have to be teachers. They have to teach these players how to play professional football and how to play within the system in which they are calling plays, regardless, offense, defense, special teams. Everybody has their own vernacular. Everybody has their own way of doing things. Everybody has their own way of communicating. And that is going to be the biggest thing that if Frank does take this job, if he's inheriting these coaches, he's now got to teach those guys to be able to teach what he's trying to get going.
Yeah, and it's not an easy thing, obviously. Teaching the players is one thing. Teaching the coaches that are there is another thing.
In other words, they're not allowing – I don't know this for a fact. I just know the conversations have taken place. I don't know what the other conversations are about, can I bring a coach in with me that can help me? Am I just coming in and working with what's there?
Well, it sounds like the Jets really want Frank Reich, so if Frank's going to say yes to it, whatever he's asking for, he's probably going to get. And maybe that means an assistant head coach title. Maybe that it means more money than any offensive coordinator might be making. I don't know what it is, but for him to come here and the Jets desperately wanting him, it's sort of in the same mold of a John Harbaugh and the Giants type of deal. When you want somebody really bad, you end up bending backwards to get him. It wouldn't be as much as John Harbaugh got from the Giants because that's a head coach. It's a different situation.
No.
But it's the same philosophy in the fact that Frank's like, all right, how bad do you want me?
So forget about his years in San Diego when he was with Phillip Rivers. Forget about the years that he was in Philadelphia with Carson Wentz and Nick Foles. And think about the 7 different quarterbacks he had in Indianapolis. Like I said, in 2018, it was Andrew Luck. They won 10-6. They go to the playoffs. 2019, this is when Andrew Luck decides to retire right in the middle of training camp. It's Jacoby Brissett. He goes 7-8. They also threw Brian Hoyer out there for a game. He was 0-1. 2020, they bring in Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers goes 11-5. Okay, 2020, that was 2020. 2021, they bring in Carson Wentz. He goes 9-8. And they lost their last 2 games. And if you remember, Carson Wentz ended up getting COVID those last 2 games.
Yeah.
And then in 2022, he had Matt Ryan and Sam Ehlinger. That's what the Jets are looking at, I think, because I don't care who they draft, guys. They're not putting them out. He's not putting them, or I wouldn't think Aaron Glenn or anybody else is going to put a rookie out there. I don't care if it's Ty Simpson. I don't care if it's this kid Chambliss. I don't care who it is. They are not ready to start in the NFL. We've been down this road 1,000 times with these teams.
Yeah, I mean, and think about the quarterback situation that Frank is stepping into. It's either the worst or one of the 3 worst situations that the NFL has to offer, and what are the solutions?
Right, so now it's not just free agency. It's, for me, it's trades and free agency. It's both ways.
Yeah.
And the draft. I mean, I still would draft a quarterback, whether it be in the 2nd or 3rd round. I would still do that if I were the Jets.
Well, especially with all the picks that they have, you know?
Yeah, you can move around the board, and this is where Darren Mucci's got to make his money, and I think he's already earned a pretty good paycheck by doing what he did, realizing that they were going nowhere. I mean, the Rangers are going to do that, even though they won last night, which was kind of unexpected.
Sure,
but they're going to do the same thing. They realize they're not going anywhere. And we needed to change, and we got to find certain players that we like. And that's what Darren Mucci's in the midst of doing right now, which I could really appreciate. And I think he's off to a flying start as a general manager because his first-round pick, Membo, has turned out to be a really good player.
If the Jets end up with Wink Martindale as their defensive coordinator and Frank Reich as an assistant head coach and play caller and offensive coordinator, I think that is a 2 really, really impressive big hires for Aaron Glenn that makes you feel a hell of a lot better about the direction of the team. Now the question is, who the hell is going to be playing quarterback? And we just don't know. All right, Boomer and Gio just getting started on this Tuesday. Got Jerry's update coming up